Tilted balls. Woo! We're getting so much better.
Your visual cue does help.
It does help. It does help. I noticed that I think I'm way more silver fox than you are. You're like a red fox.
No, I do have a little here, especially when it starts getting long. You can see it.
Having some bee's knees today. I cracked this out this weekend. I made my honey simple syrup. I want to make simple syrups. Because like they're simple, and I started like I didn't like the coffee creamers I'd been using. Like you've been here, you know, I always get coffee creamer because I don't like it that they separate a lot of time in my coffee because they're oils, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't like that, and so I don't know. I had a friend who had gotten me some syrup that was still in the fridge, and so I started using that syrup and a little half and half. I already had the half and half. And then I started using their syrup, and like my girls always had syrup sitting out, so I'd use that. And then I'm like, this is like dumb because if you buy the stuff like the coffee shops use, like it's got all that junk in it, which I know they're passing laws to get rid of. But I'm like, making a simple syrup is stupid easy, so why not just make it?
Yeah.
Like, and then I've got it, and I know it's how I want it to be, and I know what's in it. So anyway, and I thought of it because I make my own simple syrup for my bee's knees, and I'm like, wait, I could do that with anything.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so I was going to say, are you making your simple syrup for your coffee out of honey as well?
I could use it in that, but sometimes I don't like honey in my coffee, so.
Yeah.
What I have found is that when I'm using simple syrups, I don't use cream because it makes the coffee super smooth.
Oh, okay.
But not really sweet like sugar does. So, like, you know, it gives me that, like, smoothness without the sweetness, which I kind of actually like. And so I haven't been really putting creamer in it very much either.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah, bee's knees. I made it this weekend. It was super good and refreshing because it's almost like lemonade. Only with honey and gin. And not water.
That's how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like that.
So I think it's pretty good. Pretty good. Oh, welcome back to another episode of the Kids Balls Podcast. Woo!
Yes, welcome back, everybody.
Thank you so much for joining us. You fans are the bomb. I had a sister-in-law talking about our show yesterday.
Awesome.
I forget which thing she was like, oh yeah, I heard that on your show. And I'm like, man, we got a following, baby.
I get asked questions like directly to text messages based off of episodes and shorts and things like that. Really? So it's always cool. I'm super thankful of our friends and family that listen.
Heck yeah,
obviously.
We love you people. We love all of our listeners, but friends and families, special spot. You're all our friends now.
Yep. So I was gonna. We've talked about this a lot, that we often don't talk beforehand, and I almost said something to you, but I decided not to because I was like, wait, why would I? But we've talked about that on Thursday nights. We played Dominion, which is an amazing card game. If you've never played it, the online Dominion game is even more amazing. No shuffling and everything, and that's what we play. And I had made a comment about wondering what I need to do with my next stage of life, because getting this new job, like my plan was, I'm not going to order more sheets, especially with the factory saying it's going to be at least 40%, and that's not counting any tariffs or anything like that. So I wasn't willing to change my business model that much. So I was asking you and Jason and Jamie a little bit too to get your opinion, and whether I should just discount and clear the warehouse or keep on selling. And I often look for signs when I'm trying to make decisions. So a sign came, believe it or not, and I'm taking it as a sign because since Thursday, we're recording on Monday. It's since Thursday night. You know how many sales I've had online?
How many? Is your website down? I can see you.
I've checked my website multiple times. So every now and then I'll have a day with zero. I mean, it's rare, but it happens. But then when it was like 2 days, I was like, that's kind of weird. And then Sunday night, I'm like talking to Gina. I was like, I didn't have any website sales all weekend, which is crazy. I don't know if that's ever happened. I'd have to look back, through all the records, like maybe the day it was opened, we didn't sell that weekend.
But your stuff works, you're saying, right?
Yeah, I'm looking. I have visitors every day and things and not a lot of visitors. My visitors have definitely gone down. But I was just like, all right, that's a sign. Like, I'm just going to discount everything. I'm going to do flat rate shipping, $9.95, and I'm going to do free shipping over $100 and just blow them out.
Yeah, see if you can get rid of them.
Yeah.
That is nuts that you had zeros.
Mm-hmm. Because if you remember when I was at Tilly and I knew that I was going to leave, I just wasn't sure when. I kept on like, okay, it's Monday. Like, if I don't have a sign, and I would sell a bike. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to wait another week. And that happened a few times. And then the Monday where I didn't, I was like, all right, there's 2 weeks.
There's 2 weeks. I'm out.
It's the end of the month. I'm top salesman again. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and I've made sales. I made 2 sales.
Woo!
Yep. One went into finance and was unhappy with the extended. He wanted an extended warranty, so he walked. Okay. So I made the sale, but it didn't close. And then today I made a sale, which is my day off. I went in for an appointment, and someone with bad credit. So I made the sale, but we could not sell them the car.
So you had 2 sales, and neither of them count as sales.
Neither of them count as sales. But I'm doing my job. That's the important thing.
So the other guy walked because you couldn't get him an extended warranty?
Mm-hmm. Well, he said it was too much.
Oh, okay.
So it was on a used BMW.
Mm-hmm.
So talking to some of the, because people were like excited when he went back there. They were like, oh, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. And then I was hanging out. He just walked up. He's like, sorry, couldn't get it to work. Shook my hand and he left. And I walked out with him. I was like, what's going on? He's like, he's like, I really want an extended warranty, but it was going to be $6,000. And he didn't want that. So, he's like, I at least wanted a 30-day. So I was like, oh, okay. Like, sorry. Because we don't have anything to do with that.
Right.
That's all, in the business office.
Right.
Where all the papers are signed. So,
and buying a used car, you want that 30-day at least so that you're getting something that's backed. So
I went and I talked to my finance guy, and he's like, yeah, because it was a younger kid. Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, he was talking about he wanted an extended warranty because he wanted to drive the vehicle super hard and he wanted to push it to his limits. He's like, so, like, no, I mean, we don't offer a 30-day anyways, but like,
right.
He's basically telling me he's going to do everything he can to try to ruin the vehicle and then get the warranty. So taking a step back and hearing that, I was just like, well, that could be a thing. And then he was like, oh, well, the $6,000 is too much, even in his payments. And there's a couple different finance people. And one of the other finance people, she's like, I thought for that car it'd be at least 10 or 12.
Yeah.
So she thought the 6 was a really good deal, but it doesn't matter one way or another. But I really do enjoy it. I'm having a great time. I'm still, I'm almost through my Volkswagen stuff and just, learning the process and everything. So
right. And now you'll start selling for real.
I'm gonna start selling for real.
Nice. Get it done.
Where they actually take the car home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You'll close the deals.
So one of them, they were just like, what are you doing? Because I knew it was wrong. Like, I knew what I was doing was wrong. Like, it wasn't, what one was that? I forget what was funky about it, but I was just like, oh, it's super funky. Oh, another one where the guy just decided he didn't want it, but I was going through I was doing those motions. Oh, because So it was my first one last week.
Mm-hmm.
It was another younger guy. He came in, and I did my trial close after the test drive, and he had said he wasn't taking it for sure that day. He wanted to talk to his dad.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I know that's the time to say, okay, see you later. Like, bring him back, and we can work it out.
Yeah.
So, but I was like, no, I'm going to go through because I hadn't been from that point to the end point yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, but there were just some other things that I knew I wasn't correct. But it was just like, okay, here we go. I'll find out the right way. So I'm just laughing. But it's cool. It like the people there are really cool. I hadn't run into any of the, some of the issues I had before, and
nice.
So yeah, and I think that they realize what they, especially the managers realize what they have in me, which is always a good feeling.
Yeah, like they recognize the skills.
Yep, I'm bringing the light. No one's yelled at me. No one. I got a little scold once, and I laughed at them.
What did they scold you for? Did you not pray right?
No, it was that first deal. Like I said, I knew it was all messed up, and they're like, Jeremy, like, this is not how you're supposed to do it. I'm like, I know, but I'm doing it. So,
but I'm doing it either way.
Yeah, I need to learn.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then the guy who's been training me, he's like, I'm so sorry. He's like, when you were shadowing me, I should have been showing you how to do everything, not try to see if you knew how to talk to customers. Oh. I was like, well, yeah, I mean, like, I was just here. I was just hanging, and he still helps me a lot. Like, yeah, I'm here to learn, but yeah, I know how to talk to customers. And I thought I explained that.
Yeah.
Because even my sales manager, he was talking to one of the tech guys who my computer was messing up. And he's like, so what had happened? I had a piece of paper and the tech guy was there and he just got done helping me. And I was like, oh, thank you. And I started to walk away. And I turned around and I was like, oh, I need to shred this. So I turned back around and my sales manager and the tech guy were talking. And I heard my manager say, yeah, he's like really, really on the ball. He's awesome. And I turned around the corner and he's like, what did you do before? I used to rob banks or something. And I was like, yeah. And I said, I used to do shows. But we were talking about interacting with customers. I was like, yeah, like I would try to interact with, 10,000 people in one weekend. So I'm talking to all these people and I'm not changing my personality, but you can pick up on things quickly. So you have to talk differently and interact with people differently, depending how they are. If they just want the info or if they want, just a personality, like give me the price. Okay, boom. And then you're talking to somebody else and talking to somebody else. And I'm like, I can do that. And I can, as long as I know what to say and I'm learning what to say. So It's fun. I love it. I do.
Well, good. I hope it continues going well and they continue loving it. And that you actually sell cars. Like, that'd be cool, too.
Yes. So, that's going to be awesome.
I think that'd be an important part of being a car salesman.
The pay plan doesn't expect me to sell anything for my first 30 days. I'm like, that's weird. Yeah. It's a long time.
I hope you do better than that.
Like these. So I'm really not worried about it. Because it is the end of the month. I mean, yes, there's things I can do, but I'm still learning as well and going. Of course I want to, but it's not like I'll worry about it later or like act any differently.
But other people are getting sales, yes.
Not a lot, not what people would expect. So like on Easter Saturday, they were expecting like a really big day and it was dead. I don't remember if I said that last week.
Do you think it is the start of the recession?
I don't know. I guess I haven't gotten them yet, but I guess people are getting a lot of tariff questions.
Fair.
I mean, yes, there's not Porsche, but both Volvo and Volkswagen, some of the vehicles are built here, but parts come from other places and things like that. So I had heard this. I don't know if you've heard this. My buddy EB said that there's only 2 boats on the water right now coming from China, one coming to the West Coast and one coming to the East Coast, and that's it.
Really?
And that someone he knows up in Seattle is saying the port there is like empty. So I don't know. This seems weird, but it could be, the stuff that's made in China and that sort is, going to be. And I also heard, and I asked another friend about it who's in the shipping industry, that it's something like it's almost $2 million that the United States is going to start charging Chinese ships just to dock. That's not even counting any tariffs. That's going to be like almost $2 million just to dock after a certain date. So that was why that there aren't any ships coming here.
Because why would you?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Mexico and Canada both have ports.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
You might as well just go there.
Mm-hmm. But my friend in the trucking industry, I thought he had more clients getting stuff from China than he does. He said most of his clients have already switched where they're not getting much stuff from China anyways. So, but still other countries, there's going to be other things, but China especially is going to be pretty wild. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We were talking about that tonight, went for a walk, and I just said, it's like, I wonder when, like, the last time a recession hit, you didn't know when the recession, I didn't feel like people knew when the recession was going to hit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it kind of, I felt it caught people by surprise. Right? The last one.
So when was the last official recession?
I don't know when the last official was. In my brain, the last recession was like in that 2008 to 2012 time period.
Okay. That's what I was thinking. I wasn't sure if you were talking about, because I think there was considered a recession but based on numbers recently, but I was thinking you were talking more like about the 08. Yeah, it surprised a lot of people.
Right? Like they weren't quite ready for the housing market crash or the dot-com. Like I wasn't. Like I got lucky and made a big purchase right before it, and the recession really slowed me down, but it didn't hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just slowed me down. Yeah, I just Googled it, and it said the last Great Recession was between 2007 and 2009.
Okay.
The most severe recession we'd had in the post-war period.
Okay.
So
that makes sense.
Yep. So anyway, I was like, okay, since we know one, maybe we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Since we can predict that there might be one coming, what is the proper stuff to do to prepare for that? Like, you don't want to buy things now when a recession's coming, right? Like, you kind of want to wait till you're in the recession and buy stuff.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, okay, so what stuff do you buy? Like, it seems like now would be the bad time to start, like, buying property or buying other things. Like,
well, don't tell people that, because we have a property for sale. So,
I mean, now is a great time to buy property. You should get out there.
If you're looking for property in Denver, North Carolina.
I hear that it is recession-proof in Denver, North Carolina. I thought you sold the property in Denver.
Mm-mm.
Isn't that the one with the house?
Mm-mm. That was Dallas.
Oh, I'm getting my D's confused.
Mm-hmm. Especially the big cities.
Yeah, sorry.
That's super confusing.
Yeah, the one on the lake-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I knew that. Yep. That's what I thought you were talking about. And then when you said Denver, I thought it was Dallas.
Yeah.
So, I had two interesting conversations this last week.
Awesome.
I was in like AI.
I did remember the song. Go ahead.
Oh man. So I was in a AI conference.
Okay.
Kind of a thing that I was doing, and multiple things came up about humanity and making connections and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But 2 or 3 times, like, something came up, and I'm like, yeah, actually, we discussed that on our podcast, blah, 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 blah. That was like a main
Mm-hmm.
topic, blah, blah, blah. And at one point, like, one of the people who was kind of like moderating thing was like, oh, so you like have a podcast? And I'm like, yep, yep. And someone else was like, oh, that's funny. And then like later on, they were like, oh, that's funny. You have a podcast? I'm like, yep. It's really not been going on that long. It's only had like 228 episodes, not counting special episodes or interviews.
Mm-hmm.
And they like stop. And they're like 228. I'm like, that was the last episode was 228. I go, so not really that many. And they're
Mm-hmm.
like, so you really have like a podcast? I'm like, yeah,
Like that's what I said.
that's what I said. And those were things that we discussed on it. And
Uh-huh.
like that's things that come up. But it's not been going on that long, so whatever.
So why? I don't understand why it would be funny.
I don't know. I think they were like they must have thought I was like jesting or like
Okay.
making a joke, but I was like, no, like I'm serious, like we did. And then later on, like the same guy I was talking to on Friday about something completely different, and he said
Mm-hmm.
this thing, and I made him repeat it twice. I'm like, can you say what you said before? And he's like, blah 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 blah, and I'm like, yes, that. And he's like, okay, there. And I'm like, say it again. I go, I need to remember this, which means, listeners, I have completely forgotten it.
At least you only heard it 3 times.
Like, I almost texted him and said, can you repeat that again and see if he remembered?
That's
But
funny.
basically, he was like, he said something, and I'm screwing it up because we say it differently, right?
Okay. Okay.
But it was something like honesty is niceness or something like that.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I'm like, we call that on the podcast kind candor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you gotta be kind candor. And they're like, yeah, yeah. They're like, and I've always said, that honesty is kindness or something like that. Or, it was similar,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah, yeah.
definitely different. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
next time I see him, I'm going to be like, I have to write it down. But we were talking about how I have like a few people in authority right now who won't have any hard conversations ever.
Really?
They won't. And they're people in authority. So it's kind of their job.
Yep.
And they won't. And it's so much worse because it's not just that they won't have tough conversations. That's bad enough.
Mm-hmm.
But it's they won't have conversations that in their mind they think might be tough.
Mm.
Like one time I'm like, hey, you like need to do this. Right? Like I'm a freaking coach for authority figures apparently. But I'm like,
Yeah.
you like need to go and do this and like take the bull by the horns. And they're like, yeah, but they're gonna be really mad about this or this or this or this. I'm like, what makes you think they're gonna be upset about those things? And
Yeah.
they're like, well, I think if it were me, I would be upset. And I'm like, after knowing these people for 20 years, they don't give two shits about that. And they're like, really? I'm like, not even remotely a thing. Like, that
Mhm.
shouldn't be. Well, yeah, they're going to be grumpy about that. I'm like, they won't. Like, they literally
Yeah.
won't care. Like, that's
Mhm.
not a thing. Go ahead and talk to them. Now you can talk to them because you don't have to, like, worry about that. Like, that's not
Yeah.
a negative. And they're like, well, yeah, I don't think so. Like, I think it's going to be bad. I'm like,
Oh wow.
like, it would be something like if somebody came to me and was like, let's say your boss called me. So
Mhm.
totally not people, not, but to give you an idea. Like your boss
Mhm.
called me and said, hey, we're having some issues with Kilted. And I'd be like, okay, like what's going on? They're like, we really need him to be at work like an hour earlier. And I'd be like, cool. So why don't you talk to him? Well, he's going to get so mad about having to get up earlier. Like, and we don't want to lose him. Like, that's going to be sad. And so we don't want to do that. And me going, like, no, like, he won't be mad about that. Well, yeah, because we're going to ask him to get up earlier. I'm like, he won't care about getting up earlier. Like, he's not going to care. In fact, he probably wants to get up earlier. If you make the offer, he'll probably be like, yeah, I'm coming in early. And they're like, no, we don't think we can do that.
So they're putting their judgment, they're making their judgment into somebody else's decision, and they're not saying anything at all.
Yeah. So because they don't want to be straightforward and truthful, they don't want to do it. And then they are putting their own perceived feelings on it, which makes it like 10 times worse. Because now you're literally not talking about anything.
That's hilarious.
I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like, just make the calls. Like make the calls, right? Like,
yep, that's how things work.
Yeah. And people will say to me, they're like, Ball, but sometimes you're like a jerk. Like, you don't worry about their feelings. I'm like, because it's better in the long run to rip the Band-Aid off. It's just better. Like, you are not doing a kindness.
Yeah.
You are not being kind. And that's my thing. Like, I love people too much to be passive aggressive. Like, that is not nice. And I tell people that all the time. Like, I'm like, you're being passive aggressive. And they're like, well, I don't want to hurt your feelings. I'm like, it hurts my feelings that you think I am so dumb emotionally that I can't tell that you're being passive aggressive.
Yeah.
Like, it hurts me that you think I'm an idiot. I'm not saying you're an idiot. I'm like, you are. Like, just be aggressive.
That's how you're treating me.
Yes. I'm like, you're treating me like I don't have the emotional capabilities to understand your feelings. Just tell me your feelings. Like, right?
Yeah.
Don't like be dancing around the bush. Like, my daughters are super funny. I did something earlier where I was like, they're super funny because I do this to them. I've been doing it not regularly, but I'll be like, somebody left this door open. And they're like, there's only 3 of us in the house, and you know it wasn't you or the person who hasn't come out of their room. And I'm like, weird. They're like, so why don't you just tell me to shut the door? And I'm like, I'm trying to be passive aggressive. How does it work? They're like, it's just making me mad. I'm like, oh, good lesson then. Shut the door.
Yeah. Like, why did I have to say it 1,000 times?
I'm like, I shouldn't have to. I've tried to tell you directly, and it didn't work. So I'm trying a new tact, and I'm not good at being passive aggressive. So this is like as good as you're gonna get.
I need to try that. I know just the son that I need to try that on, who doesn't let his dog out before he goes to bed. Hey, 5 minutes before he's in the shower. Hey, don't forget to let the dog out before you go to bed. And I go into the bathroom. I come out of the bathroom. His door's closed, and he's inside there, laying in bed.
So, like, hey, who forgot to let the dog out? Like, do you know who forgot? Like, you know it was me. You know it was me, Dad. Oh, so you know it was you too. And my girls are like, you're like, that's not nice. I'm like, oh, well, I figured I already told you, and it didn't work. So I'm going to try to not tell you and see if it works.
See if that works better.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can be passive aggressive. I'll have to test it out.
No, it's a challenge for me, but I do it. And then they get so mad, and that makes me happy. So then I'm like, yay, now we're both upset. So that's all good. We get to be upset together. Maybe
Misery loves company. Yeah. Not asking a lot here.
It's not a stretch, right? Like, you know, whatever.
Kind of basic stuff. Basic stuff. That's hilarious.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh, did you get your did you get your update from your CHIME? Because my bonus came through today.
I did not get an update from my CHIME.
And I want to thank you. So, because I have direct deposit now, and if you've been a listener for a long time, you would have known that. Ball talked about CHIME a while back.
I did.
And since I was starting the new job, I was like, you know what? I want to get a different account because so here's my problem. When I went through everything, like all the accounts were in both of our names.
Yes.
So I went to the bank and I said, okay, take off a name in this account, take off a name in this account, and take off a name in this account. So it should only be my name in these accounts.
Right.
They did all that. I log on to the app. It does not say hello, Jeremy.
Oh no.
Every time I go on the app. So I'm just after 4 years, I'm just super irritated at this point. So I'm like, I'm just getting a new bank. And so like, I open that one, and and if you have direct deposit, you get extra $100. And I got that in today. And I think did you get 50 or 100 as well?
I have on my phone right now referral cash bonus $125.
Nice. So you get a little bit extra. That's awesome.
Like, that's freaking super sweet, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you doing it must have gave me money.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
I think I tried to use Chime for something else recently and it wouldn't work. Like, it wasn't connected to an account, and I was just like, F you, and just connected to my other account.
Yeah. For me, it's going to be a holding, and I'll pay bills out of there too, like once things start switching over more. But with the savings account, it is 3.75 APR, so I just move it into that, and if it's just sitting there for a little bit, then it's just sitting there.
That makes me want to move mine
it wherever else.
Like, I'm like, oh, I should probably slide mine on over there. That'd be good.
So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And listeners, we can give you referral codes. So you'll get extra money. We'll get extra money. We've got referral codes for you. If you're interested in Chime, so far, it's worked pretty well for us. So, and they sent me goodies. I showed them on one of our episodes once.
Yeah, it was a while ago, but like I said, I remembered, and I was like, okay, it's time for me to start switching things over.
Yeah, it has not been bad. I have not thought. I think they sent me a debit card even. I don't know where it is.
Yeah, I have. So I did all their accounts. So I did the debit. They have a credit builder, which I was just like, okay, just whatever, because I was trying to get that 3.75 and then the savings account.
Nice.
So it's weird. And actually, I was just talking to my customer today. I mean, he was a younger guy, and he's like, hey, what can I do to build better credit?
Yeah.
And it's first pay your bills. That's the first step, because he had credit.
Step one.
But it wasn't good credit. Right. And I told him about the Chime debit, which you use it as a debit, but somehow there's some loophole where they can count it as a credit, and they can put it on your credit report.
Nice.
So it's called Credit Builder. Nice. So I meant to send him the thing today, but then I didn't have his info on my phone. I thought I did.
Yeah, people don't realize that credit building is kind of an important thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a thing, people. It's a thing, people.
Mm-hmm. Important. Mm-hmm. And it is harder when you're younger, especially like you don't have someone to co-sign for you, or you mess things up. Because I told him that too. I was like, when I was your age, I made a lot of mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you can turn things around.
Heck yeah, you did. And then you turned them around again.
Mm-hmm.
And now you are having to work at the car dealership.
I'm really enjoying it. That doesn't have anything to do with credit. I still have really good credit.
You still have really good credit. That darn property just won't sell.
I just didn't sell at the top of the market.
That's true.
That's the biggest reason why I'm working at the car dealership. So,
well, and because the sheets aren't selling like they're supposed to.
Yeah, no, that's part of it too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have a friend who made really good choices, and he's definitely on a different path.
Oh yeah. People do
and I'm
super
excited for him. Yeah,
for sure. What else was I say? Oh. We had dinner with my mom last night. She turned 90.
Oh, awesome.
I know, and I'm like laughing to myself because first off, we had this nice dinner. She had a beer. Like, I'm just like people think people who are old, like she always has her beer and she's always like putting salt on everything. And I was laughing about it to myself today because I went to the bread store today. Remember the bread store?
Oh, did you?
I had to go out for an errand, and I stopped at the bread store. It was like on the way, and so I grabbed I grabbed exactly what you would think I would grab. And so I came back to lunch, like with all the guys. I'm like, I went to the bread store. And I like dropped off all this food. And like our buddy Dave was like, yeah, only Ball would like come in for lunch and start eating pork rinds, dill pickles, and Boston cream pie.
Sounds like a good run.
I'm like, that sounds exactly like me. Like, Ash used to get so mad about the Cheetos and eggnog. He'd get so
it was
mad.
the worst, yeah.
But so I'm letting them all eat it, but I'm sitting there and like towards the end, I'm like looking at this Boston cream pie. You know, it was like in one of the boxes. I'm like, these things are like the worst for you. And I'm like, and they're like, are they really bad? Like full of fat? And I'm like, well, the big thing is that pie had 400 milligrams of sodium, which is like 20% of your daily allowance. And they're like, yeah, that's bad. And I'm like, well, the pork rinds have 20% of your daily allowance per half ounce. And they're like, how many half ounces did you eat? And I'm like, half a bag. I'm like, and remember, I had a dill pickle.
They're super light. They're super light.
And I had a big dill pickle. And they're like, how much is in the dill pickle? I'm like, I don't know. I threw that wrapper out. They're like, yeah, you're making our blood pressure go up just watching. I'm like, I'm like, my mom like literally puts salt on chips. They're like, oh, like when you went to the restaurant? I'm like, no, like if she gets like a bag of chips out, she pours salt on it. And they're like, what? I'm like, and she just turned 90. I go, so I'm pretty sure she's brined herself. So I think she's just turned herself into a brine. And, you know, that's how she's preserved all these years.
That's smart. I like that.
And family members are probably laughing. They're like, oh man, she did brine herself. I'm like,
yeah.
We're having a huge party for her this weekend.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, send out invites and lots of people are coming. So you can come too, but I figured you're like working Saturday. So
I will be working Saturday.
But it is a busy weekend, so for you, just so you know, Brenna's gonna do the whole walking across the stage at MSU on Saturday.
Oh, I guess she would be already done. That's crazy. Time flies.
Time flies. Mom's got her 90th birthday party after that. Cal's first communion is on Sunday.
Oh, man. I think that's something I'm supposed to be at. You need to give me more of a heads up than this.
It's a busy weekend.
I think as a godfather, I'm supposed to be there.
Maybe
you can't tell me 3 days before.
Maybe I'll stream it for you.
I'm gonna have to have the godmother and her husband stand in for me.
Yeah, you just made me think that Amy probably didn't tell them either.
Actually, I guess it's not 3 days; it's 5 days. I might have to do a after Saturday work leave and then make it back by Monday morning.
Getting out the phone right now. Did you tell Cal's God? Oops, my phone like just gave me a notification of stuff. Godmother about Sunday.
That is
because that's probably a thing. She's gonna be like, you know, I didn't. Why are you being passive aggressive?
So one thing I thought you were gonna. Well, how are we looking on time? Because we can do this.
You
next
got a
week.
couple minutes. Go.
Okay. So one thing I thought you were going to bring up is something that we had talked about, another thing that we had talked about Thursday, and I would love to hear if any of our listeners have the same experience. Does anyone out there, have you met somebody or had a friendship where you only have a friendship online and you've never actually met in real life? Because when you started talking about the guy in the conference, I thought you were going to say that.
No. I didn't.
You want to fill in that backstory?
No, I was just at that AI conference. The guy at the conference was like, you know, like humans have to have touch. They have to be face to face and they have to touch each other. Otherwise, it's not like a real relationship. And I'm like sitting there going, I have lots of real relationships that are just online.
Yeah.
And some of them aren't even AI. So.
Yeah. I would love to hear that, just because. Like you made a good point with a friend of ours, and it's someone who I know really well, but you've never met. But I would say that you guys are good friends, and you're
feel
online.
like he's a good friend, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we've literally never been in the same room together. Well, and we have other friends who maybe we've been in the room together once.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you have other friends that we know of, who you've never like seen in person. Like I can think of lots of them. So yeah, that's like a thing for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I do wonder, is that true for any of our other listeners?
Yeah.
Right? Do they have friends? That's a great query. So yeah, let us
Mm-hmm.
know. Drop it on us.
And friends who are friends with us, we know that you're our friends, and we've never met you. So
we knew.
You can still send us the messages about it. We'd love to hear from you, but we know.
You could send us your love. But we know.
Exactly.
All right, listeners, that takes us to the end of our time. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Kilted Balls podcast.
Yes.
You guys are fantastic. We hope you have a great week, and this is Ballbuster signing off.
Kilted Dragon Jared, love you all.